what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
Brothers in Tech is a weekly podcast focused on personal and home technology, helping provide you, our fellow brothers and sisters in tech, with some information, assistance, and recommendations. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Brothers in Tech here on the Mesh.tv podcast network. My name is Alan Jackson. Off to my right. It's been so long since we've gotten together. I kind of forgot which way.
It's been a long time, man.
To which way to point over to you, but to my
well,
right.
And I'm sure people are just on their edge of their seats, hoping that you'll remember which direction. I mean, that's kind of like it's the Johnny Carson. I mean, it's it's your thing, right? It's your thing.
It is.
So
it's my little thing. I do the head tilt to whichever direction you are,
which
is opposite of what I'm seeing on the screen. So that's what throws me off.
Yeah. Yep.
Speaking of people waiting, Brian, I understand.
Do you want to restart? Do you want to restart or no?
No, I'm good. We're doing it live. We're doing it. We're pushing it.
It's great.
I have heard that there are some people that were waiting by their computer for like the last 3 weeks, anxiously waiting to see when we were coming back with the next episode. And I'm here to tell everybody, you're welcome. We're here. Sorry for the delay. Sorry for the wait anybody had to endure. We just had to wait for one of our co-hosts. I'm not going to say which one. One of our co-hosts to decide to actually get back to his house and come back out from a long, nice vacation he had.
I'm a big believer of kind of absence makes the heart grow fonder. Right. I mean, we're making them want more. And, when they can't have something, I'm sure that there's just a greater desire to consume what they do get eventually. So, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm sure our viewership is going to grow, and people have just.
Yes, our viewership will grow. That's
right.
More truthful words have never been. We'll see those numbers just skyrocket. This is not just Brian and Alan getting together and talking. Well, actually, this is Brothers in Tech, our show where we get together. Brian and I get together and we talk technology, but we talk about it from a very home and personal and family and kind of use of technology. We don't get into a lot of super high-end things. We don't talk about it from a corporate enterprise. We're not futurist. We're not here to try to, talk about huge technology, future trends type of thing. Well, I mean, a little bit. We're really focused more on what's going on in your home, in your house, with your personal life, with your use of technology, especially when it comes to using Macs, Apple computers, Apple devices. That's kind of our thing. We are a little heavier into that. We'll dip our toe into some other computing worlds every once in a while, but the Mac and Apple world is still kind of our bread and butter. And we love home automation, so we always try to weave in whatever we can that has to do with the home in general, technology for the home, automation for the home, your personal life, whatever it may be. So, Brian, that's what we do here. You've been gone for a while. I wanted to make sure you remembered what the show was about.
Let me put my Samsung aside now, since my notes were about my Samsung.
Like a whole different topic where you start talking about food cooking or something. I'm like, no, Brian, that's a different show. This is the technology show. We talk about technology here. So you had a good trip? You had a good
had a great trip. Had a great trip. Yeah. So my wife and I love to get out and camp. And Alan, we've talked about, I don't know if we've talked about on the podcast, but we have an old Volkswagen van that we jump in and drive and hope it makes the trip without too many disturbances. And so we camp in it we kind of glamp in it. And so we got up to Canada, got up to the Canadian Rockies area. Nice. And spent about 2 weeks, and the weather was nicer up there. It was much cooler. And then as we started coming back towards the border, it got to be miserably hot. that's where having a van without AC becomes a real challenge. And so we always go north instead of south. But it was good. We had a great time. Some really, really great hikes, and may have some topics to talk about eventually regarding travel. Travel with technology and how to utilize technology in camping environments, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great topic. I'd love to hear some thoughts on that. So just technology while traveling and how to kind of cope with some of the challenges you run into a little bit while traveling, and best technology there. We are going to get into, not this episode. I do want to hear from you on that in a future time, Brian.
It's like, okay, shut up, Al. Shut up, Brian, and let's get going.
I really was just trying to give you 30 seconds just to do some pleasantries. I wasn't expecting a really long conversation here.
Thanks. Yeah.
We are going to get into our Brothers in Tech suggestions. This is a BiTS episode. BiTS is a terminology that Brian came up with and did a really nice job with. We're taking the novel idea of taking words, and then if you take the first letter from each word, it creates a shorter word. I think it's called an acronym. I think I looked it up one day, and there is an actual term for it. And Brian did this with Brothers in Tech suggestions, as you see on the screen if you're watching a video, and that is BiTS, BITS, which is also a technology term. So that's where it's kind of, quote, clever, unquote, that Brian came up with this. So we're going to get into our Brothers in Tech suggestions. This is where Brian and I both give a recommendation or a suggestion of a piece of technology. Could be a app, could be a website, could be a gadget, could be anything that you plug in, have a battery with, does something with some computing knowledge, anything.
Yeah.
That's kind of our game. And the goal for me anyway, Brian, is to see who has the better BiTS episode recommendation this episode, and also who gets the other person to spend more money.
Yes.
I do get a little nervous. I get a little nervous in our BiTS episodes because I typically will find something that you recommend that I find myself wanting to buy, and I probably don't need to, but I want to now that you mentioned it. So we'll see if that happens today or not as well. Okay. But really quick, before we get into BiTS, Brian, I just got one more important topic to bring up.
Oh, okay, good.
I understand that in Oregon now, you can get out of your car and pump your own gas. Is that correct?
That is correct. As of this past weekend, yes, or as of I guess on Friday, maybe. Yep.
Do you need any assistance in remembering how to put gas in your vehicle?
I was actually given a video today by another friend of the program, Jeffrey Hartman. Right. Immediately sent me a video that how to pump my own gas. And
yes, I wanted to make sure.
I did not need to know that, but I'm sure there are people that did. Now I went to get gas this morning, and there are still attendants, but the attendants are actually teaching people how to pump their own gas.
Really? Are they really?
Yes. Oh, yeah. They're walking around. He came up to me and he's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm good."
You know what to do.
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Everybody, just stay calm. We're all going to get through this together.
You don't drink that. Okay.
No. Don't put that nozzle up to your mouth. Please do not do that. That news came across, and I'm hearing it on the news, last week. I'm like, oh, wow. Yeah, that's still a thing out in Oregon. You guys still, gas stations, the people at the gas stations pump the gas for you. You're not allowed to get out of your car and pump your own gas.
That's right. That's correct. Us in New Jersey and Oregon.
The same thing, huh?
So New Jersey's the only one left now. Yeah, wow. They're the only one in which you do not pump your own gas.
That's amazing.
And I think out here they're going to slow roll it out here. So there'll still be attendants that will, in case you need it or want it, or if they want to give different service. But no, you can now, which is good.
Well, I'm glad they're not going cold turkey, because that would be rough. I think that'd be
everything would shut down.
You gotta gradually wean away from it.
Right. No, I'm excited to go to my classes that start in a few weeks and talk to some of my students who probably have never pumped their own gas in their entire life, and we'll go through some procedures and yeah.
Well, welcome back to the world of having your hands smell like gasoline by accidentally getting on them for the rest of the day. Welcome back to that. So,
well, I have to tell you that the old van that I have, when we travel, obviously we're out of the state and we pump our own gas, but just on a side, and this is probably the furthest away from technology that you can get, but when you have an old van, the gas seals, the seals at the top of the gas tank will deteriorate over time. So there's the gas tank, and then above the tank there are these rubber seals that keep it so that air can get out, but yet you're not losing gas. Well, we've always had the fumes, so when we pump our gas or fill up with gas for the next 20 miles, we'll smell gasoline. And but this time we haven't used our van in a while, and we realized that the seals have completely gone out. So I say this because it made me look like I did not know how to fill up gas, because if you fill the gas tank up fully, gas just starts spilling all over the ground. So I probably lost a gallon of gas, not having any idea that it was spilling on the ground. And people ran up to me like, "Hey, dude, you're losing gas." It's like, oh, okay, yeah. Now I can no longer fill up my tank until I reseal it. So
you're from Oregon.
Anyway, they're like, "Oh, Oregon." Yes, right.
You don't know how to do this.
Yeah, son. Listen, let me show
you
you how.
You need to call an attendant out to help you out with this.
Here's my phone. There's a YouTube video that I'd like you to watch. So, yeah.
What a crazy.
Well, there
crazy
you go.
World. Well,
it's a crazy world. Yeah,
we're very proud of you, Oregonians, for joining the rest of the union on.
Well, everybody's happy about it right now, I think, until the rainy season starts, and then we'll remember how nice it was not to have to get out of our car when we went to go fill up our gas. So, anyway, fun times.
Well, good.
Well, are we ready? Are we ready to jump in here? BiTS.
I guess let's get into technology. We've talked about cars. We've talked about gas. We've talked about everything else. So let's get into technology. Brian, our brothers in tech suggestions, would you like to go first and talk us through your first suggestion for today?
Sure. Yeah. So I have, while we're talking about the van, I thought I would tell you about a technology update that I made to my van, but it's an update that I think can be useful for others as well. So, one of the things about camping, especially when you're van camping or RV camping, right, is usually there's a need for a secondary battery. We usually call it the house battery, right? So you've got your starter battery, which is what you use to spark the starting of your car. And then if you had your car off and you wanted your radio on or something, that's why we tend to get the draining of the battery, right? If you left your lights on a regular car, it's draining the one battery that it has, right? Well, when you're RV camping or you're van camping, you don't want that to happen, because oftentimes you are in one place wanting to use your radio, something like that. So we have, several years back, obviously, really beneficial to add a secondary battery, and it's the house battery. So I can be camping somewhere, plug in, or I can plug into the cigarette lighter. I can plug in a USB cable. I can charge my phone. I can run the radio and do all these things off of the house battery. And that's been great, right? It's been really nice. But if you're in one place for a long time, you also drain that house battery. And unless you're at an RV park or something, which we don't tend to go to, where you could plug in you plug into an electrical and recharge, then you're kind of out of luck after a while. You either have to restart the engine to use the alternator to charge the battery up, or you've got to find some other ways. So I wanted to share with you, I found another way, or I kind of moved into the techie way of having another way of doing it. And let me show you what I did. So Alan, there's my screen. I'm going to go ahead and widen it up here.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at this.
So what we decided to do was jump into the solar world, and so first of all, anybody who's interested, if you're a Volkswagen van fan, and that's what we have, and there's a whole network of people out there that have old Volkswagen vans called Vanagons, or the old buses. There is a website called Go Westy, right? And Westy means the Westphalia is the type of van camper that we have, and Go Westy is pretty much a way I can buy anything to replace on my van. I can buy a windshield wiper handle, I can buy a new seal, I can get new carpet, whatever. But one of the things that it started to push was this foldable solar suitcase. And what's really cool about it is, I'll kind of go to a different picture here. So it comes with a suitcase, and the suitcase is really just it's kind of like if you've ever had sunglasses that have kind of a hard case to them. They're not hard plastic, but they're almost like a tight nylon, right? That's what this case is, which is really nice. But the beautiful part about it, and this is getting into the van stuff again, but the beautiful part is this particular solar panel fits perfectly on our roof in the little storage bin that's right above the cabin. So we have a storage area we could put bags and whatnot. This fits perfectly in there, jams in. You don't even have to really strap it down. It's so tight that it fits in. But what's nice about the solar is we can get to a campsite, pull the solar panel out, and as you see, the solar panel opens up. So it's kind of foldable. So it opens up. There's little legs on the back. You point it to wherever the sun is at that point in time, connected into my house battery. And while we're camping and hanging out, assuming we've got a decent amount of sun, it's going to continue to trickle charge our house battery. Right. So we don't get stuck if we decide to stay 3 or 4 days and not move the van at all. We're not going to be at a point which we have had, where, we wake up in the morning and our battery is totally dead, which means that we can't turn on our water. We've got a water tank that needs power in order to pump the water. Can't do anything. Right. And you can still start your car. But anyway, so this has been great, and it worked fabulously. Now, for anybody who's not gotten into the solar world and doesn't really know how they work, first of all, it isn't just like you have a solar panel and you can plug into it, right? What happens is the solar panel is like any other power source that will then need to connect and have some sort of regulator. So just like you would with any other power source, there needs to be some way in which it regulates the type of power it's getting so that it converts it over to battery power. So along with that, and I'm just going to show you these two things mainly to let people know that it's not that difficult. I bought something on Amazon, which was the regulator or the controller. So this one was just, what is it? It's called Bauge RV, something like that. It's just, there's tons of these, and you don't need to spend a lot of money, especially if you only have one of these panels. If you're someone who buys a bunch of panels, like 4 panels, and wants to put them on a big RV, you probably need one that can control having multiple panels coming in. But with just one panel, you can get them for $20. This one was $40. And even though it looks like you've got to do some wiring here, really all you do is you're clamping wire with some of these end clamps, putting them into the proper location. So, Alan, you can just look here. It's pretty simple. Number 1 and 2 is the red and black for the solar. So you have a cable coming from the solar panel that goes there. You have another cable that goes to your battery. If that's what you're charging, they go in 3 and 4. And then if you wanted to, you could have maybe a light or some other thing that was actually working off of that solar, and you put it in 5 and 6. We don't. But what was really cool is this one came with USB as well. So technically, we don't even have to have the battery on there. We could have the solar plugged in, and then
you could actually have solar
charge our phones
straight to your phone.
Yep. So this box basically is taking solar panel power, converting it so that you can use it electrically for other features. So
Brian, in theory, then, even if I was not, which I'm not, a Volkswagen owner.
Yes.
I don't do tons of traveling,
Yep. Like RV
in the
traveling
same
or
way,
anything.
RV traveling.
Mhm.
But if I wanted to make use of solar power and I had solar panel, like that suitcase you showed,
Yep.
and you have this controller, solar power goes into the controller, then the controller comes out and it can be going to a device that I'm wanting to get power to. Or if I do have some sort of rechargeable battery that I'm wanting to fill back up, I use the connector to do that.
Right.
Okay.
So these
All
are called like inverters, right?
Yeah.
You've heard of inverters, right? So like if I want to charge my battery from the wall when I'm at home and I'm in our garage, I need an inverter. I still need it inverted in order to make that power come from the battery back to electric.
Okay.
So I have electric going into the battery and then battery going into electric. If I wanted to use it that way, there's another inverter. This is basically an inverter. So what it does is it takes one form of power and gives you another. But yeah, you could, and I'll go ahead and tell you that 100-watt suitcase that I just showed you, you don't need that. Right. If you just wanted to charge your phones, you could get the ones that just roll up, right? There are some that roll up. You could put them stick them on your window, have a little box underneath it that you can plug your USB in and go with it. I would just say I was super pumped to finally be in a position where I felt like I was using the power that was naturally available to me, and knew that I wouldn't get in a place where I was going to get stuck and needing to turn on my car every so often just to try to recharge my house battery. So this was really, really cool. And so I'm obviously not suggesting that people need this particular solar panel. This is overkill for anybody that wants to just have the ability to charge the phones. But there are some really, really cool solar panels out there. Renology is the company, or not Renology, Renergy, maybe Renergy, yeah,
Renergy,
kind of like maybe Renergy. I would think like energy. I think it would be like energy. It could be. It could be. It could be. I'm assuming it's like energy, right? Re-energy is what I'm assuming it means, right? Re-energy.
Renergy.
Yeah. So Renergy is what I'm assuming it is, right? They're big. They're a big solar panel company, and you can go to their website and you can see tons of things. Even Amazon sells Renergy stuff, and they're great, really well made. I mean, this thing is super heavy, well made, solid. I mean, I hosed it down afterwards because we had it at a campsite and got dirty and everything. No problems whatsoever. But I did realize what you do need is you need the solar, you need the wire. So I bought the wire separate. I bought like 30 feet of this wire, and then I needed the inverter. And so for me, if I would have gotten I didn't have to get the 100-watt. I could have gotten maybe a 50-watt or something. I could probably have done it for maybe $100 or $200 for a nice solar panel, $20 to $30 for an inverter, and another $20 for some cable. Yeah. And you're set now to get some power off the grid. So, so I think that just made me feel really good that it worked and how easy it worked. I plugged them in, clamped the wires so that they worked into this setup, and right away it tells me. So what's really cool, Alan, is that screen that's on the top there. Okay, it'll tell you. So if I get the solar panel in the right place, it'll tell you, well, here's the voltage of your battery right now. And then it'll flash between that and here's how much power you're gaining right now. And it would go a bright sunny day, maybe 4 or 5 amps. And then as it went down, I keep checking it. Oh, I realize I need to turn my solar panel and face, the sun where it moved a little bit. So very cool. Again, don't go and spend a lot of money on an inverter unless, and I did read a lot about this, unless you have like multiple panels that you're trying to integrate together. Okay. Multiple panels will require something that's more expensive. You see here at the top, Ellen, this Renergy pure sine wave inverter at $460. Yeah. Sine wave is where it takes multiple energy levels, puts them together, and it's a much more efficient way to use inversion. but you don't need that, right? If you only
Yeah,
have one
right.
panel, it's a waste of money to do
So you're saying really more like the $20 to $30 range is something kind
I
of
think
reasonable
20 to
for us.
30 is fine if you're just doing one panel and all you need to do
Yeah.
is push into one battery.
Get that solar power and funnel it
Yep.
into a outlet or plug or something.
That's right.
Right.
And there is some conversions just for people to be aware of. If you've got a panel, you need to make sure that your inverter can handle the amount of wattage that your panel has. And there's a scale there, but mine was plenty good for 100 watts. But if you had, let's say, a 500 watt panel, you had to make sure the inverter can handle the amount of power that's going to come in. But super clean. It was able to continue to trickle charge our battery while we were, boondocking and camping, and so made it super nice. So
good.
So that's my first pick, kind of a combo of using solar and realizing it's not that difficult. You just need to have an inverter and or buy a solar panel that already has everything together. But there are kind of some pretty cool ways to do this. So
yeah.
Well,
if I ever, and this is if I ever leave a facility,
the comforts of your
power, I will keep this in mind. But Brian and I have worked really hard in my 50 years on this earth to now get to a point where I never put myself in a situation where I'm that far away from a plug.
Yes. Or air conditioning or anything. Yes. I understand.
If an emergency breaks out and I have to go somewhere and I do get stuck somewhere, and it's good to know that there's some tech available to help in that situation.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Well, and if the world ever comes to an end where, the grid goes completely haywire, I've got a nice solar panel that I'll at least be able to charge my devices, my fan, my fan, USB fan, if I need to, just
You'll
off
be
of
all
the
set.
sun.
I'll be curled up in a fetal position in a corner somewhere. So you will be set.
I have no doubt.
Good. I will not be. So, okay, Brian. So, my first brothers in tech suggestion. All right. There's going to be some steps involved in this, but this is ultimately getting me to my suggestion here. Cause I kind of spent about half my weekend between trying to catch up on some work. I spent the rest of it just messing around with some home automation. This is a Lutron Pico Smart Remote. Now, $20, but let me back up and explain a little bit about this. Lutron is a maker of a lot of really nice lighting products, both traditional wired lighting products like switches, like dimmers, but they've also gotten into the home automation world as well. So they make a lot of light switches that you can wire up and replace existing light switches, but they can control other devices. They can also trigger devices that are on your home automation system as well as the light that they're controlling. I've got one of these Lutron light switches in my house. It came with, let me pull this back down for a second. When I bought that light switch, traditional light switch that I put in and rewired and replaced the switch, and it's now controlling a nice light we have in our dining area that kind of I can dim up and down on it. It came with a extra little remote. Now, this is that Pico remote I was just showing you. It came with the light switch I bought. And the idea with the Pico remote is that this is a wireless, completely wireless. You do not have to run wires to it like the other main switch does. This is truly a wireless remote. It has, as you can see on it, it's got 5 buttons on it. Now, when you buy a light switch from Lutron and it comes with the Pico remote by default is meant to act as another controller for that light switch you put on. So let's say, for example, you put a light switch on a wall and you're like, okay, cool. I can control my light from that light switch. It is now taken on that functionality, but I'd like to also control that same light from somewhere else in the house. That's what the Pico remote does. It basically links up with your other light fixture and acts as another remote for it. Okay. Out of the box, that's what it does. So I'm sitting here. I installed the light several months ago, and I've had this little Pico remote staring me in the face on my desk here for quite a while because I don't have a place for it. I'm like, well, look, that thing, I hate having a piece of technology I can't use. And I really don't have a need for another light switch for that same light anywhere else in the house. So I did some research. I'm just trying to think, there's got to be a way to be able to use this some other way and not just linked up to that same light. Sure enough, I found some links and some documentation on how you can actually turn this little remote into its own freestanding remote for anything on your HomeKit network. Okay. It does use Homebridge, which you and I have talked about a couple of times. I think last episode or 2 episodes ago, we talked about Homebridge some more.
Yep.
That's the open source software that you can run to basically take things that are not for your HomeKit environment and make them part of your HomeKit environment. So let me bring that back up just to remind everybody. Hold on. I'm going to have to share the right screen. Let me get that right one up there. Let me just get the window. All right. So the Homebridge, if you are running Homebridge, and again, we've talked about Homebridge in the past, free software has to run on a computer or a network storage, and it basically allows you to link up other things to your HomeKit network. There is a plugin called the Lutron Cassetta Leap. If you install this plugin to your Homebridge, and then here's the rub, you do need still the Lutron actual physical hub that comes with the Lutron Lite kit. All right, that's the one drawback. I wish you didn't need that. It would be really cool if you could use these on their own. But if you have that hub, then you can actually take any of these little Pico remotes and you can program them and make them do anything you want them to do on your home network without having to be connected to one of your light fixtures that the light switch came with. And because Lutron sells these actual remotes by themselves for $19, $20. Again, Lutron's selling them with the idea that you're going to buy these and automatically use their Lutron app and connect it to the Lutron Lite that you already have installed in your house as another remote for it. But I'm saying, no, you can actually make these work on their own as well.
Yeah.
So let me show you when you install the Homebridge plugin and you've got that running, then what you would have is, let me bring up my home app. Where is home? Here it is. Yep. So if I'm looking at my home app, once I installed that, I go to the Lutron app, the app that comes with the hub that you have to get, the little Lutron hub, and I add this to my Lutron system, but I do not tell it to connect it to a light switch that's already in existence. I just register this and I don't do anything else with it on the Lutron app. Because Homebridge is running, it's got that plug-in, it pops up in my home environment now as a remote. If I go in here and, you're not going to be able to see this window. Shoot, hold on. Sorry, it's a little drawback of the screen sharing here. I always forget that it does not let you see pop-up windows that come up. So let's do this. I just share my entire screen.
The selection or...
Yeah, here you go. So now if I go in and do this, this is my Pico remote. If I go in and I take a look at the details on it, you will see on the screen here that I've actually got all 5 buttons that I can program. And with each button, I can program a single press, a double press, or a long press. So if you think about it, that's technically 5 buttons on here, each of them with 3 different button states. You could have up to 15 different programmable actions on this little guy. So I was trying to be creative and think, okay, how could I use this? Like, what would be a good use for this? We have garage doors on a freestanding garage out back that we've got those garage doors on our HomeKit where we can tell Siri to open or close a garage door. But you have to go to your phone or you have to be somewhere where you use Siri to do that. There's been a lot of times where I've needed to just get the garage door open before I go outside and walk over to the garage. So I thought, okay, well, what I'll do then, is I can even just position this horizontally, and I can have one side button be the garage door on the left. I can have the other one be the garage door on the right.
Yeah.
I could probably program like a button in the middle to be like close both of them, if I wanted to have both of them close at the same time. And I could mount this right inside my door that leads out to where the garage is. So I'm like, okay, well, that's a good way to do it. I can be very flexible with the buttons and kind of control those. So it does take a couple steps to get there. And yes, you do have to get that Lutron hub to make it all work.
Yeah.
I will say the Lutron light switches are awesome. I do have one of them. I love it. It's so good. It is a little pricey, so I'm not recommending everybody could just run out and replace all their light switches. As much as I would love to do that, it's a little cost prohibitive to go and do that. But if you can get that one hub, the Lutron hub that comes with, and then you get one of these Pico remotes or multiple of these running Homebridge, at least you got to have that running as well. You can now make these little switches do a whole lot of other things you want to have done.
That's super cool. Yeah.
So like I said, it took a few steps to get there. And it honestly was something I kind of started doing because I just did not like having a little piece of technology laying around that I couldn't figure out how to use. So it took a few steps, but getting there, I really, really like how this thing works out to the point now where I'm thinking about getting a couple more of these. And I've already got some other ideas of things I could do around the house that would be nice and so small. Oh, and let me show you too. This may be something of interest to you also. The Lutron Pico, when you get it, one of the accessories that comes with it when you buy it by yourself is this little guy, which is a stand for it that can mount it. So then it becomes almost like a little desktop mount for that Pico remote. So now start to think about if you wanted to have something home entertainment set up where you wanted to have these buttons do, and you got 5 different buttons you could use for that. You could have one be volume up and down if you could kind of program that to do volume on your device. There's just a lot of things you can start to play with when you have a little desk mounted stand for this. It also has a nice mount that kind of makes it look like a light switch on the wall. So that's kind of what it's inherently made to look like. But it's just a lot of flexibility.
Yeah.
So you could have it on the table, you could have it up on the wall, you could have it just freestanding. So a lot of different ways to use it. I love the form factor. I love how small this thing is and how flexible. If you can go through those extra steps to get it to do what you want it to do and to make it work with your system, it's pretty cool. So
and I couldn't see on the home app. Can you tell it to do a constant press as well as a single action? I'm thinking, could you make that with your blinds, your mechanical blinds that you have? Could you make it so that one arrow, if you held it, it would open your blinds part of the way and go back the other way? Or is it a kind of a one-click blinds open or one-click blind close? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Could you do like dimming and multiple dimming pieces? What does it have?
Well, there is a long press option, but I don't know how.
I think that's more another trigger, a single trigger, right?
Yeah. So it's not a matter of like saying, okay, well, if I press and hold down the down button, that
opens it further or dims it more. Right.
I don't think it'll do that. I think it's truly still built upon singular action. So because you're basically saying, if I want to say I want button number 2, I can choose any of my accessories or items that I want to do something. Like if I did my curtains, and I could tell it to what amount I want my curtain open or closed. But I can't make it a gradiating.
Do it. Continue to do it. Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, that's cool though, man. That's nice. And so you showed it there. It was, what's the hub cost?
Good question.
Is it the usual $50, something like that? More?
I don't think I've priced out the hub by itself. So let me see here. Hold on. Let's see if it's. Let's see. Lutron stuff. I know if you get a kit, which is what I had done initially, which is the hub, an actual dimmer light switch, the main light switch, and then it also comes with the Pico. It was $99. I don't know how it breaks down to the hub versus the switch. They're you get what you pay for. They are good. They are very, very good quality stuff. I mean, they're kind of the gold standard for light fixtures that are home automation driven. I don't see where you can get the hub by itself too easily. Maybe you can. Yeah. Well, here's the angle I would take is I see that to get a switch and a Pico remote is $70. To get it with a hub is $100. So that's about a $30 difference. So I'm going to guess you're probably in that $30 to $40 range for the hub.
Yeah, I just pulled one up, Lutron Cassetta Smart Hub.
Yep.
Is that the one? That's $80. So you're much better off buying the
Wait a minute, is that doesn't include any switches or anything?
Yeah, but I'm thinking that may be unnecessary. Let's see. The next one says smart switch front porch with the smart hub for between $53 and $258. Yeah, some of the hubs. Yeah, it looks like you're much better off buying it as a package and getting the hub. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yep. For sure.
Well, I am a fan of the Lutron light switches. You could you could sink a lot of money into it if you went and tried to replace a lot of your switches. I'm doing it in a very gradual process for me. Whenever I've got a light fixture that I really need to be able to change the controlling of it, and I want it to do something, but also trigger an action for another home automation device, the Lutrons are great for that. The Picos are awesome. If you have one of the Lutron hubs, then I would definitely recommend $19 getting some of the little Pico remotes and using those for anything else you want in your home automation setup. So, yeah,
very cool.
Okay, got a little deep, but got a little technical on that one. So maybe we'll go a little further on the next one. We'll see. I am excited about my next one. I'll get to you after you. Not to put any pressure on you, Brian. I'm sure yours is going to be great too. But please go ahead and tell me your second one here. I'm excited.
Okay. All right. So, Alan, let's see. So first of all, I'm going to admit to something with this pick, something that I'm maybe a little bit embarrassed about initially, but in hindsight,
please tell.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
So for one, I think I got suckered into this app, this service, through some form of social media, and I can't remember what it was, but it was one of the typical social media advertisements that talked about weight loss and fitness and nutrition and all sorts of things, right? So I was in a mood where I was going to give it a shot and see what this service was all about. And it specifically revolved around the intermittent fasting. Alan, I don't know if you've kind of done any of that or tried that, and the kind of the process involved there. Just for people, given that this is generally my area, intermittent fasting has become a pretty hot topic, and I think for one reason only, which is too many of us eat and drink late before we go to bed, and we find ourselves sleeping and not burning any of that we consumed right before bedtime. Nope. Right. It's totally been my issue. Mm-hmm. So I think people started using this idea of intermittent fasting as, well, let's find a block of that 24 hours, a big block, say 12 hours, 13 hours, where you don't eat or drink anything, right, other than water. And if you do that, then you're giving yourself, what you're doing is you're kind of forcing your metabolism to kick in and say, okay, well, if you go for a certain amount of time, it starts to burn fat because it doesn't have, energy coming in that it's able to use. And then it says, okay, well, I'm going to need to kick my metabolism up to start burning stuff. And then you feed during that other period of time. And it says, oh, okay, well, now I need to burn. And then you stop and it continues to burn. And so the idea is you're training your body kind of to burn a little bit more effectively, rather than always having a constant source to where it can keep the metabolism fairly low. So anyway, it's something that hadn't really done much of, and always thought it was a bit of a fad, which is still probably the case. But I wanted to try it, and I wanted to see if I could start to consume less before I go to bed, so have that few hours before. But then kind of push this idea of longer periods of time without eating, and then allow myself to eat when I'm going to be burning it. So there's an app called Simple, or the service is called Simple, and I jumped onto it, gave it a shot, right? And so Simple, what it does, it's one of these that initially when you go to the website, I can't even pull up the website actually to show you like, here are the plans, because initially when you go to it, it says, okay, well, let's ask what you're here for, right? Are you here to lose weight? Are you here, blah, blah, blah. You go through a survey. So the survey, it does the things like how active are you? What's your age? What's your weight? What's your goals? What do you, how often do you eat? What do you typically eat? That sort of stuff. So it goes through this entire thing, tries to get to know you a little bit. And then there is a monthly cost for the service. So I went with this initial kind of 3-month promotion that it had, which the 3 months came to $34 for the 3 months. It was what, $10, $11 a month, something like that.
Right.
But I've actually kind of enjoyed it. I don't know if I'll continue, but I think for the 3 months, I'm pretty happy I've done it. And let me show you why, Alan. If you'll share my screen. Okay, so this is my lock screen right now on my phone. Okay. And you can see at the bottom where it says, this is the kind of tracker that's constantly going, that says, you've got this much time before your fasting starts, because, you started eating X number of hours ago, and we've set it up so that you're doing 12 hours right now of eating, and then 12 hours of fasting. So it's a constant countdown that every time I turn my phone on, it's telling me, here's how much time you have left. And it'll give me notifications like 30 minutes before. It'll be like, hey, 30 minutes before we got to start fasting, make sure that you wrap up everything you're going to do and get ready to, once you're ready to go, let's start the fast. And then it'll do the same thing on the flip side. So later tonight or tomorrow morning, it'll say, hey, you've got 1 more hour of fasting to go. It kind of gives you this update, right? Which is pretty easy. It's something you could probably do on your own. Just have little timer countdowns of 12 hours, 14 hours, something like that. Yeah. But what's also nice is you can see here, and I just woke it up, and you can see that it's also giving me some notifications, right? So it's telling me, by the way, are you staying hydrated? Because it wants you to log your hydration. It wants you to log your food. And it'll kind of give me some education that says, listen, if you drink more water, it'll ramp up your metabolism even more. So great, that's good. So on this where it says log fluid and log food, so if I click here, this takes me to the app. And this is kind of what the app looks like. You can see my timeline there of how much time I have until I need to start fasting again, or that I should start fasting. And it wants you to start fasting at that period of time. And then on the flip side, so tomorrow morning, let's say I start fasting, what is this? That's going to be, 9 o'clock or something our time. So if I start fasting at 9, it's set right now to 12 hours. So I don't eat again until tomorrow morning at 9. And then at that point in time, it'll start to tell me, hey, listen, you can begin eating, but if you wait another hour, you're now in the fat burning, phase or whatever, right? So if you feel okay, go ahead and get some more water, try to go a little further. So it's kind of educating you as you go along. You do log food. What's kind of cool is that they've taken into account the AI setup. So if I go in and say I log food, I may say, well, I had pizza last night, right? You could type things in, just regular typing, and say, hey, I had, eggs, bacon, and whatever. And it's using AI to try to recognize what you wrote, get a general idea of, what you're eating, and then tries to give you some personal, directions, right? To say, here, you track your weight. Now, what I don't like is that it doesn't automatically pull in things like exercise from the health app, right? I mean, it's already logging my exercise through my watch, but yet over here on activity, I've got to kind of go in and log my activity, which is a bummer. Which is a bummer. Now, I will say that really doesn't have anything to do with the fasting, right? I think it's just trying to say that it's, it's wanting you to take advantage of all of these reminders and all of these log capabilities. If they would do that, if they would notice, oh, we see you took a walk, we see you logged an exercise and all of that. And by the way, you're burning more calories than normal because of this. It would be
that pretty
fantastic.
cool.
Yeah. It's also,
Brian,
it's also
sorry.
got go ahead.
With the logging food, like how specific can you get? And I saw that there was a camera icon on there. Is it?
Yeah, and I haven't tried it, but
Okay.
yes, you're supposed to be able to take a photo of your food and then have it kind of recognize that. So far, I've just been doing kind of general language and said, okay, I had, pasta with red sauce, something like that. Now, the first time I put it in there, it did give me kind of like, hey, that's a fairly high, a high carb meal. Since then, it hasn't really done that. And maybe because I haven't given enough info, that's what I'm going to start doing. Of course, I was camping, so I didn't really want to spend a lot of time, logging in certain things. But I'm going to try to take a picture. I'm going to try to, maybe see if there's some other ways that I can to do this. You could actually do it by voice, just to tell it what you're eating. But what's most important is that it recognizes whether it's been a drink or a food. It's trying to get an idea. Hey, did you start fasting? Is that the last meal? So can we start your timer now? And if you forget, right? I went 2 days, I think, without logging anything, and then went backwards and said, well, okay, my last meal on that day was this, and then I didn't eat until this. Okay, great. You logged your fasting. I haven't gotten in too much to some of these insights, but there are some really interesting ideas. I mean, some of the stuff I did not, think too much about. It would say, where's your blood sugar? You can see at the top, Alan, here, it says now typically your blood sugar is going down because it takes into account when your last meal was. Now, if you don't keep up the meals, then that's not really going to give you accurate information. So, you've got the journal here. So the journal is where, the things that I would have put in, some of the hiking and activity. It's got the explore button, which is if you are looking for, what are some better foods to try, ones to get better information in. And then, of course, it's got my information that I put in. Now, when I joined this thing and it said, hey, you get whatever percentage off if you do 3 months. And so I did that. It was at $30. They also said, would you also like a personalized workout program? We're doing that as a special for whatever, $20. And I did that. I haven't gotten that yet. I'm kind of interested to know if they take a week or so of what you eat and what you do and what your weight loss is going. Because as you saw, my weight loss in this last week, I think has been about 6 pounds down, but mainly that's because of the hiking I was doing and with the fact that we were up doing things all the time. But, it'd be interesting to know if the workout plan comes and is a little bit more tailored. My plan at this point is I'm going to go three months with it and just to see if it can force me to get my habits. And if the habits work, then I'm going to try to find my own creative way of doing reminders and all of that to maybe plug in, hey, daily reminder of this, or whenever I set a hot button that says I started fasting, remind me again in 14 hours to that it's done, something like that. So, but what I do love is I love the ability every time I open up my phone, it's telling me what's coming, right? And it also sends those reminders 30 minutes before fasting's supposed to start, or an hour before. It's like, hey, you almost, get ready to start, your fasting. And then on the flip side, it'll kind of keep pushing you to, hey, if you go another hour, if you go 30 more minutes, you're in the fat burning stage, right? So
see, I've
kind of cool.
I've toyed with the intermittent fasting and went through some phases with some things. It started out more as it wasn't by design. That was just kind of how my eating habits were falling out.
Right.
But I've experimented, or at least been trying to read up and see how that could work. I like the idea of an app telling me when it's okay to eat. I'm okay with that. I mean, sometimes I just need something to tell me it's okay to do this, or this is when you should do this.
Right.
I think that's actually beneficial to have. So I'm curious now. I'm very, very curious. I may just try that out.
And now,
I'm
Alan,
trying
I'll
to get a
tell you,
handle on my eating habits. So
yeah, I did not do searches to find out, are there other great
yeah.
apps, better apps to do for fasting and reminders, or maybe there's free reminders set up apps that you can buy just to cue
Mhm.
you in and not do all the other stuff that this does. But I did like that, I know a decent amount about nutrition, but
Mhm.
I, just like anyone else, need reminders. And I
Yeah.
think technology is a great way, if you can build it, to kind of get past some of your shortfalls. And for me, the shortfalls was always, well, for one, and this is kind of on a side, logging food
Mhm.
will easily make you start to eat less, at least in the
Yeah.
meantime. Because
Sure.
when you have to actually put down, this is what I just ate, it becomes a little embarrassing sometimes when
Mhm.
you do things. And then you're like, you think about it when you eat, when you're like, oh, I'm gonna need to log this, right?
So, I have
I
to
better
report
not eat
this.
as much, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But with the fasting part, I mean, a lot of people kind of poo-poo the fasting piece, and I get it, right? I don't think it's so much about the fasting. I think it's really more about, we don't need to eat as often as we do, or people assume breakfast has to happen because breakfast is the
Yeah.
most important meal. We've always heard that. But if you think about it, if you eat late or eat later, breakfast really doesn't need to happen at the beginning. I mean,
Mhm.
breakfast can be later. Breakfast doesn't even need to happen at all. It could be lunch if you're still burning, right?
Yeah.
But breakfast is great if you didn't eat that late.
Yeah.
And if you finished eating at 7 and you're like, hey, I'm done, by the time breakfast happens, that's great, because now you've got the full day to work with it. But so it
Yeah.
really is more like a skip a meal or delay meals, or really get your system to not want to constantly eat, or if you do constantly eat, making sure that you're burning enough of that
Yeah.
to make the metabolism work. So
A whole lot of what was happening with me is, I would sometimes not get home from studio work or shows or whatever it may be until, 9 o'clock at night. And I was not eating during the day. So I was eating
right.
at night.
Yep.
And yeah, that's the worst time to be eating, because you're going to lay down for 7 hours,
Right.
not burn anything. But then I didn't eat anything the next morning either until like probably late afternoon. So it's like it was all concentrated in a 6 hour period of time,
Right.
6 to 8
Yep.
hours. So it kind of worked for a while. I mean, I definitely didn't gain any weight. I was losing some as I went along, but I do feel like I need to have a more structured approach to it, and a more
Right.
a truly a better approach for me in my personal situation. So
Yeah.
I'm all for any app that does a pretty good job of guiding you on what you should do, and give you nice, gentle reminders, and give you some easy ways to follow through with it. That's good.
And again, by no means am I suggesting this is the best one. This is what it does. It basically gives you timers, lets you. Now there are some shortfalls. One, like I said, it doesn't incorporate the workouts that you're already doing and already logged. This
I
is
would
a
hope that'd
bad
be
thing.
something they would incorporate. That would make it
I would
much
hope
more
so.
complete. Yeah.
I would hope so. The other thing is, it does do a bad job. If I went in right now and said I wanted to log that I have hydration, right? That I logging having bottled water or something. It pulls up a date and a time, and it doesn't always default to now. Sometimes it defaults to maybe the last time that you drank water, which is like or logged water with 2 days ago, and then I have to go remind. Oh no, scroll to now. It should always go to now. Right. It should always go to now and then you can go backwards if necessary. So that's a bug that they have. And I'm going to probably let them know about that bug.
Yeah, absolutely.
But other than that, I mean, it is nice to have something that, forces you to at least start thinking about this. And for some of these that are 3-month trials that are fairly inexpensive because they want to suck you in, they want to try to get you as regular users. I worry about them because, programs like this, if all you're doing is teaching me when to eat, then I don't need you after a while, right? The habits will hopefully get in place. But so that'll probably be my goal over the next 3 months is get as much as I can out of it. If there's additional things, like maybe they start to really manipulate the way in which they educate me on things more effectively, then maybe I'll stick with it. But if not, I'll try to create my own timers and do some of the same things. But again, logging food is a big deterrent sometimes. So if you're someone that wants kind of an easy way to think about your food, try logging it. I used to use an app. I can't remember the name of it, but it forced you to go in and you would pick, how many eggs and how many ounces of something, and you would actually put the actual information in there. And after a while, it got to where you really started thinking about what you were eating because you knew that you had to be accountable for it. So,
yeah.
So there we go.
Cool.
Simple.
I think that's great. That's a good one. So that's simple. Simple.life is the website, and then it takes you to the apps from there. So yeah, that's a good call, Brian.
Cool.
Very interesting. Definitely maybe checking that out. So,
all right.
Let's get to the last pick we've got, my second and last one. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put a little disclaimer up front here. This is if you are a artist, a true artist by profession, you're probably not going to like this. If you are a graphic designer, you're not going to like this probably either. There is a reason I'm going to recommend this as a BiTS tonight. But just to understand, I get the inherent issues with this platform. This is an AI, artificial intelligence platform. Brian, months ago, we talked about using Chat GPT for text-based AI. And then I think I played around with, I don't remember, was it DALL-E was the one we did for pictures and art?
Well, yeah, I think DALL-E, we looked at it in trying to make images, but then there was a different one that we used where you and I did.
Right. There was a different one.
Headshots.
The headshots. Yeah, that was a whole different platform there.
Right.
So Midjourney is another platform that is really meant for art, photography, art, AI generated, both photorealistic and artistic generated works. And I started dabbling in this for a couple of reasons. For work, I'm constantly having to, for some projects we work on, for some web work we do, we're having to generate some kind of stock images, some stock photos we need to pull in. And I was just curious to see if what this tool might be able to do for us to kind of generate some custom artwork that we needed. It was not a situation where it made any sense or we could really budget to go and get a photographer or someone to go and create a piece of original art for us. We needed just some images just to go up on a simple listing on a website in one place or another. So we started playing around with the idea of using some AI to help with some image generation. Midjourney was a platform that I've heard a lot of people talk about. It was kind of got a lot of raves, and I immediately saw it was a much better quality of things it was generating than some of the ones you and I experimented with a while back. So let me just even show you. I'm going to pull up just an example. Let me bring up the window here. So this is Midjourney's showcase, their community showcase. This is just supposedly fairly recent photos or images that people have generated on Midjourney. Users have created. And just if you're seeing this on video, the image quality is really, really nice. It's definitely a step up from a lot of the AI work that we were playing around with in previous episodes. So of course they're putting the best ones up here on the showcase. So not everything that Midjourney creates looks like this, but this is what's possible and what some of the community members are doing. So I got interested and I decided I was going to give Midjourney a shot. So we went ahead and we did sign up for an account and I started playing with it a little bit. And let me show you what we're dealing with. So when you go to midjourney.com, you go to the website, you do have to sign up for an account. Now it uses Discord as its way of interacting with Midjourney. So Discord is an app. I know my kids all use it to talk with each other. It is a kind of a chat system on your computer. It's meant for connecting with other friends, and you can talk and share images and share screens with one another. So a lot of people use Discord. Midjourney runs through Discord. So you do have to get a Discord account. It is a free service. It is a free account you can get. You get a Discord account, and then that's what you use to go into and join Midjourney. Now, there is a beta right now on Midjourney. The beta is technically free, but as of 3 days ago, when I went in and tried to sign up for my beta, it told me, sorry, we're really overloaded and we can't offer any more free betas at the moment. So if you want to use Midjourney, you will have to get a plan to do it. Now, that's not always the case. I think it is depending on whatever they feel like their load is at the moment. So I do encourage people want to try it out. Definitely go check and see if you can get in at the beta level with a free account. And they give you so many images you can create in that free level, but it is a free level all the same. I did have to go ahead, and we're just doing it on kind of a trial basis for the next couple months. The $10 a month level, which is the basic level, gives you about, they say, around 200 images you can create per month on that account. So
yeah, that's good.
Let me show you. So once you sign up and you get in there, it actually opens up in Discord, that Discord app. That's where Midjourney exists. And so let me bring up my Discord app, because I actually got the Discord app and used it to interact with Midjourney. It's a little confusing there, but bear with me. I'll kind of going to talk you through it. So this is the Discord app. And if you can see over here on the left-hand side, it's very much like Slack, if you're used to using Slack, where you can have different servers or different instances you're connected with. This is the actual Midjourney Discord. So when you join Midjourney and you log in, it opens up in this Discord window, and you're basically in this community where there's different rooms and there's different groups, and you can go in, like this is a newbies group. So I can go in, and everybody is like trying out and generating images themselves inside this group. So I can see other people's artwork that they're generating and what they're trying to have done. Okay. Which is kind of cool, because I can actually read people's prompts. Midjourney works with prompts. You type in a passage of what you're looking for in a photo, and it will generate that. So here's a great example. This entire long paragraph was somebody's prompt they typed in. They got very, very specific on what they wanted, and you can see the image it created directly below it, which is great. It's a beautiful image. It looks really good. Yep. That's the idea with Midjourney, is you get very descriptive and detailed with your prompt, and it generates a photograph or image based on that. Now, what happens afterwards is once it generates an image for you, it's going to generate 4 iterations off of whatever you ask for. And then you can say, hey, you know what? I really like version 1. So let's use that as the basis to now create other variations based on that version 1. So it is a very iterative type of process where you start with a kind of a nucleus of the prompt and images. Then you say, okay, I like the one you did here, number 2. So let's expand on that. And I'm going to add you more prompts to it and to try to get it more fine-tuned to what I'm looking for. So you see people are using it to create logos or doing photographs, all these things. Here's a great workflow here. Look at this. This guy started and he gave a prompt. He's wanting a vector logo with the letters A and O combination, black, red, shadow. So it gave him 4 versions there to look at. Obviously, he said he liked number 1. So it took number 1 and made some variations off of that. Okay, now he likes number 4. Now he's seeing a larger version of number 4. And then he got a little more descriptive on it. I think he upscaled it a little bit more, added it some more improvement to it, and now it's come up with that. So same thing with the person who did the photograph. They have now given a much more descriptive prompt for it, and now you've got 4 versions of that. And you see how they're kind of building off of those to get finally down to the version they want. So you're interacting with an really AI chatbot to do this. And it's really cool. Now, because I had to go ahead and get a subscription to Midjourney to start using it, it gives you the capability of creating your own server. So I don't have to be in this Midjourney server interacting with everybody else. I could actually create my own, which I did. So I have my own server, quote, in Discord that has Midjourney. I had to invite the Midjourney bot to be a part of my server. So it's now here and I can talk to it and I can tell it what to do. So I just want to show you a couple of examples of what I did. With everything you want to do, every message, you have to use the \imagine. That is the prompt. And when you do that, it shows you right there. Okay, great. We're going to create images with Midjourney. So now I just start typing whatever it is I'm looking for. You see there's a version right up here. This was for a project I was working on. An adult helping their older parent pick out the proper medication. That's all I said. Short little prompt. And you see I got 4 different versions that were done up, which all look pretty good. Now, I didn't say photorealism or give any other specificity. So it made these kind of more painted or a little more artistic looking. But I mean, that's basically what I was telling it I wanted it to see. And it gave me 4 versions of that. If I said, I like number 2, let's work with that a little bit. U2 is upscaling. So it's upscaling version number 2 for me and giving me a higher version of it to look at. But I can go back and say, you know what? Actually, I want to work with version 4 a little bit more. So it's going to now, it is taking number 4 and it's kind of building off of that one. So you can see down here, it's prompting. It says it's waiting to start. That is the one thing that, you're using this at the same time everybody else is. So sometimes it's not always instantaneous. You may have to wait a moment or two to see it, but it's building it as it's coming in. So you're seeing it working on your artwork as we're watching this. It's taking the number 4 version I gave it before, and it's now giving me 4 variations off of that version. And it's almost done. It takes just a couple minutes. And looks like we are done. All right.
Wow.
Now there is the 4 versions I've got from that version. Okay. Now if I wanted to say, let's see. What was I wanting to do? Let me get rid of this. I'm trying to remember something else I wanted to do here. Okay. One thing I did find you could do is you could also upload an image and have that be the basis for what you wanted to start with. So let's just do this. I'm going to bring in, I'm navigating on my computer right now. You're not able to see, but I'm actually going to bring in a photograph of myself. And of course I have an entire folder of that because I'm pretty vain. I like to keep that around. Let's see, where is it? Okay. So I brought in this image.
Classic. Everybody knows that image. Yeah.
Everybody loves this image. So great.
Yes.
So what I have to do is I can actually go and copy the link for it. You see that little prompt down there when I did a right click. So now I'm going to say, okay, now imagine, and I'm going to paste that link that it gave me for my image. I'm going to say, I want to look like as a Jedi Knight. Now, I don't know what's going to do. I have no idea, but I've seen other people do this, so I hope it's cool. So we'll see. So it's taking my photograph, the one I just uploaded, and it's going to take that photo and do something based on it. So this is how it's kind of, so in other words, I tried one time doing a prompt where I put in like a famous person's name and it generated something that looked nothing like that person. This is though taking from a photograph, I think is ultimately the key. All right. I'm already loving where this is going. Let me just go ahead and tell you.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Now look, the faces are definitely not, does not look like me, but it's taking this from one photograph I uploaded.
Right.
So I get it.
Right.
But you start to see what it's able to do. I mean, look, proportion wise and all that one in the top right it looks like an actual person, right. The rest of them, the proportions are a little weird in some places. But if I said, you know what, I like that number 2, and I can upscale that one, or I can go back and say, all right, let's see some versions on number 2. Now I could definitely give it more prompts and say, okay, let's have them where I want it to be, and I'm in a, because right now it's got me in a movie theater. Like it knows my movie
Oh,
theater
right.
from the picture I prompted it. But I could say, put me out in the forest
Right.
and have me riding a dragon or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
You could just
And
kinda go crazy.
black and white photorealism,
Uh-huh.
on a white background.
Okay. So Midjourney's decided to go the
Oh,
female
make
route
you
now. I'm
female.
not sure why.
Oh.
Not sure why. That's interesting.
Okay.
But again, they're very nice looking images.
Well, you're kind of feminine, so that's right.
I'm good, Deb. I'm okay with that. So yeah, so let's see where it's going there. That's interesting. Let me see if I can get back.
Was there, so you went from there, you just did the upscale and you did the expand upon the versions. That's what the
Yeah,
V
V
means.
V is yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Let me start this again. I'm gonna do this. Imagine. I'm gonna put in that as Jedi Knight in a forest riding a.
What are they called? Tom-toms or something? What were those things called?
Yeah, it's a tauntaun. I'm trying to remember if that's how it's spelled. I don't remember how to spell it. Well, let's just go with a dragon. Okay, dragon's easy. The Jedi Knight in a forest riding a dragon. Yeah. Okay. But now we'll see what's going to happen. Is again taking my original photograph of me. I've expanded on the prompt a little bit more. And again, you can get crazy with these prompts, and you can even get your prompt to describe what artistic style you want the photo to be in, or what type of lighting you want to have. There's all these terminologies that people have been posting and putting up giant list of what kind of prompts really make it do certain type of artistic looks to your images. So we'll see what this does. Okay. It's starting to generate a header now.
So
very
excited.
curious on this. All right. This is not really riding on the dragon. I probably should have said on the dragon, but I'm riding with a dragon. Oh, there's me riding one on. Okay. This is actually looking a little more like me. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right.
So let's upscale number 4. I'm just kind of curious how that one looks. I guess the key for me there. Okay, look, that's from one image of me. It's not bad. It definitely has me with dragons. I'm definitely in a forest. All right, it's working.
Yeah. I think you're kind of loving the dragons, not necessarily riding them, right?
I'm just hanging with the dragons. They're my buddies.
Mm-hmm. You and your khaki pants are just, chilling with the dragons. Yeah.
What I want you to kind of get from this is what people are doing with Midjourney. Again, I was kind of playing around with just silly photograph prompts, but
right.
I mean, look at what people are generating.
Yeah, beautiful stuff.
Things. Yep. And I do think there's an art to knowing what to prompt and how to control it to get what you want. I get that. Look, this flies right in the face of people who are designers and artists, and I hate that. I really do. I wish there was a way to control it to where only people could use this if it's just not practical to bring in an actual artist to do it, and you have no other means.
Right.
I don't want this to ever hurt the artistic community, but I do think there is a sense of artistry involved in knowing how to manipulate and manage this tool to get the kind of things you want. So it's you take the good with the bad. I think there's some benefits here with it. I love what people are doing. I'm kind of anxious to get a little deeper into it and play around with it some more. I do have a Midjourney server basically set up. So Brian, I may have to be sending you an invite and you can hop in there and play with it as well.
Yeah, I'd love to.
But very, very interesting.
Yeah. And I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, what I was going to ask you though, Alan, are there any copyright issues with using Midjourney? For example, if you create something, do you need to cite that or reference that this was created in Midjourney?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I will need to
Like
explore that
if
more,
you
'cause I don't
if
know.
you made money off of it, I guess that would be the big question, right? If you put it on a website
Yeah.
in which you were making money off of it, I mean, I know that there are copyright issues if you take a picture of a person, right? You should really get their consent, and obviously there's not any issues with using it because you created this using a tool, just like you would with Photoshop, right? To be able to do something, but I just wonder, I know from an educator's perspective, that's one of the things that is going to be really new for me this this fall with our classes, talking about Chat GPT. And listen, if you turn it in, the key is you have to let us know that you did that. And, I'm wondering with images, if the same thing, a media art student has to, cite where they receive certain things if you're making money off of it. Because to me, I think that's one way to make it a little bit more effective and maybe not hurt the artist quite as much, so that artists can continue to stay ahead of the curve and know that there are things that are theirs rather than machine driven. But
agreed.
Yeah,
I need to, now that I'm kind of hooked on the idea of this, I need to explore more of the legality and what needs to happen. Because again, we haven't used anything in a commercial situation. I haven't used anything in a business situation.
Right.
We're considering wanting to do that, but I want to make sure we're doing it the right way and everybody's clear on.
Well, and I'm not sure even anyone really knows yet, right? Because this whole thing started back in January, right? I mean, January is when ChatGPT came about. I mean, this is all super new in terms of mass consumption. So
can I just show you? I was experimenting with a couple that had to do with some projects I was working on. I was really impressed with it. I wanted a close up of a Caesar salad with croutons and tomatoes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Look at that. I mean,
I'm
that
hungry.
Looks great.
Yeah, that looks really good.
I did one, Brian. People building a roof for a commercial warehouse building. That one came out a little interesting, but I mean, there's definitely some area to work on. Now, I did one for our show, for our podcast.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't work very well. This was the prompt down at the bottom of the screen. A little longer prompt. I wanted to be very specific with this one. Brothers that enjoy talking about technology, with the younger brother being bald by choice and looks up to his older brother and relies on him for much of his knowledge. The older brother is definitely more handsome and knows a lot more and is generally seen with a much brighter light on him. That's what I wanted.
Yeah. So obviously it was very confused because it doesn't have anything really any reality to latch on to.
Well, it didn't quite follow what I was looking for. I think the prompting, I've got to really fine tune my prompting, but this is the images it generated. Now, in all of these pictures, I've clearly said the bald person was the younger one that looked up to the older person, but yet it made the balder person the older person, which is weird.
I am really liking Midjourney. I mean, I think it's so knowledgeable and this is great.
So I mean, look, they're beautiful pictures. But yeah, it did not follow my instructions very well.
Oh, I think the first one just encapsulates Brothers in Tech. Actually, it's
so basically I'm like
educating you.
You are the older brother teaching me about something, and I'm a 12-year-old kid. That's basically what Midjourney decided to show.
And you're fascinated with me and what I'm telling you, and yeah, that's great.
Well, then of course number 2, it just said, you know what? I don't know which one's bald, so I'm just going to make them both bald.
So go back to your prompts real quick. I want to see the prompts again.
Yeah. Prompt was,
because there's got to be some.
I enjoy talking about technology, with the younger brother being bald by choice. That might have tripped it up. I think just that phrasing probably wasn't very clear. And looks up to his older brother and relies on him for much of his knowledge. The older brother is definitely more handsome and knows a lot more. Is generally seen with a much brighter light on him. So I think it took that last phrase and applied it to made the older brother the one with no hair. Yeah. I was trying to be I was being a little cheeky with the description. I don't think it was really the best laid out prompt to really make it work.
And have you found that prompts need to be like commas in between those
Yeah.
semicolons,
I played
that
with
sort of
some
thing to
different-
really break up what is happening.
Yeah, play with some different versions. I really went and looked at a lot of other people's prompts. That was the biggest thing for me.
Yep.
Is I went and just really watched some of these other prompts and tried to get a feel from it. They were in sentences, so there are periods and there's comments and all that. So it is very much in a paragraph format that they're giving the prompts. But there again, a perfume bottle. Give a very clear description of what they're looking for. Let's see. Somebody at a desk computer with stock trading. I love these. They took a photograph, I guess, probably of a book. Let's see. Yeah, it's the cover of a book. Okay. I just pulled it up in another window. That link is a cover of a book, like a book that has a church and a graveyard in front of it, and said, okay, make a drawing of that book. And that's what it kind of generated, which is
super
interesting.
Cool.
A black man reading this book. I mean, yeah, it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That's the original book.
Okay. Yep.
They took that book cover, have somebody reading the book, and then they wanted a drawing of the book, and you see what it generated.
That's pretty cool.
This is the most fun, is just actually going in and watch other people trying to generate these things and see what kind of prompts they use and try what you can pull from it. Again, I've seen some prompts that were really like, there's a really very, very detailed one about a logo they were looking to generate for a podcast.
Yeah.
And came up with something. So
that's awesome.
This is Midjourney. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's great. I'm still wrestling with kind of the best application for it and how it really would fit into our life, but it's definitely been worth the few bucks to kind of play around with it for this month, for sure.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I have not jumped into Midjourney at all, but I'm excited to, because I, as you mentioned, it really has floated to the top as being the premier source for creating images like that. So
yeah, so if it's, again, I know there's some questions around how we should be using it as a society and what it means for artists and designers. I'm very sympathetic to that and I'm going to keep that in mind as we kind of tiptoe through it. But it is pretty amazing. Like you said, over 8 months, really kind of feels like, as far as from a public facing use of AI, what we've already seen happening in that time period. So yeah, pretty amazing.
It's exciting and scary at the same time. So
it is. That's a good way of looking at it.
If anything, people need to be aware of it and they need to try it because they need to understand what it does. And, even if you're completely scared of what this may do, what AI is going to do, that's even more reason to be educated about it and to check it out. Because if you go the other way and say, nope, I don't believe in AI and I don't going to do blah, 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 well, then you're not going to be aware of when it is being used the wrong way. So I think that's
good call.
I don't feel guilty about trying it out and exploring a little bit, because I think education about it is good. So.
All right. So we had a very diverse group of suggestions this week.
And
we had a solar powered battery briefcase. We had kind of a hacking little smart home device. We got Midjourney with image creation. We got something healthy,
fasting,
with our eating and fasting and so forth. Pretty diverse group of suggestions. So I think we did pretty good.
Yep.
We did all right.
Well, as always, I'm just super excited about the BiTS episodes. We do well on that. I think you got me. Midjourney is definitely something I want to play with, and
I will see
the Lutron. Lutron's interesting. Yep.
Yeah. Just again, it takes a few steps to get to where I think it's really could be interesting to play with. But now Midjourney, though, however, I'm going to go ahead and see what I need to do about getting you to join my server, because I think I can do that.
Awesome.
We'll see if we can make that work. I'll try that out. All right, Brian, if anybody hears these suggestions and maybe they've got something kind of related to one of them or has their own suggestions they want to funnel into us to maybe have us try out and talk about in a future episode, how can they go ahead and get a hold of us now?
Yeah, send us an email at info@themesh.tv, info@themesh.tv. And you can also go to our website at www.brothers-in-tech.com. And we will be we're getting ready to start some new types of episodes that we'll be putting into the mix, and I'm looking forward to that. Some shorter episodes and some longer episodes, and we'll mix all these things in. So brothersintech.com will be where you'll want to go to see those in the future.
Now that Brian has said it out loud, that means we have to do it. So.
I'm making you committed. It is on. It is recorded. We are doing it. So
it's not from a matter of not wanting to do it at all. So I'm very excited about doing it. So just trying to make sure, Brian, when I give to the audience, I want to give all of me. I want to give my full attention, my full level of energy and excitement. And I just want to make sure I can do that each time. I don't like going in halfway. You know me, yeah. I prep for every episode for days on end beforehand.
Right.
Big pile of notes going in to kind of organize every episode. I just want to make sure I'm not cutting anybody too short on these shorter episodes or anything else that we do going forward. So,
well, you are more than welcome to spend those days on prepping these shorter episodes as well. So I know that you're committed. You're committed to our fan base and our audience.
I am.
I know you'll do it well. So
great.
All right.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up for today then. Brian, as always, fun talking to you. Enjoy it.
Yeah, I will hopefully talk to you next week.
Yeah, we will talk to everybody next week. Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.